So we've had a night to sleep on it. Do you feel better? Do you not?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Man, I had the 5 Hour Energy last night. I can't wait to tell you about it. And welcome all you newbies, and we love you everydayers. Y'all the best. All right, so Jimmy, Alabama wins 42-16 over South Florida, and it was far from pretty. But as I used to say when I was at the booth in 1993, don't turn down anything but the collar when it comes to late in the shank of the evening. And that is exactly the way I look at that. Don't look 42
That's what you said. I'm surprised. If that's what you said, I'm surprised anything worked.
Well, they were also saying it while they were getting in the car with me.
That's where you learn the saying.
That's where I learned the saying. I was like, this works. I was like, the old saying goes, I think we both could do better tomorrow, but tonight is the best we got. Anyway, 42-16, far from pretty. But it's 42-16, and as we will talk about in the third segment, it was a weird week too. So you slept on it. What do you think?
I feel enormously better. I also I think I've just boiled it down to a more like, okay, this is what happened. There were three things in the game that were really bad. I mean, bad. There's no sugarcoating it. It's bad. First of all, when you turn over the ball 3 times and you don't force any turnovers, so you're -3, you should probably lose the game if you're playing somebody, anywhere remotely close to as good as you are. Thankfully, in Alabama's case, you turned over the ball 3 times against South Florida, not 3 times against Georgia. I mean, you turn over the ball 3 times against Georgia and the game is lost. I mean, 95% of the time. Or even Wisconsin. You can't turn over the ball 3 times. So the 3 turnovers, absolutely crushing bad. It was the Kendrick Law fumbled on a kick return. You can't do it. Jam Miller fumbled. You can't do it. Then the center quarterback exchange. It's 2 weeks in a row we've had a turnover on what amounts to the center quarterback exchange, and we can't go through a year of that again. Now, obviously, it's different than what we experienced a year ago, and I think this is fixable. But again, 3 turnovers, that explains why the game was close for so long. Number 2 thing that went terrible was the penalties. Not only did Alabama have, I believe, something like 12 penalties for over 100 yards, or was it 13? It was 12 or 13 penalties for well over 100 yards. That's outrageously bad. And we've been doing that too often. Even before DeBoer got here, there had been too many games where Alabama had double-digit penalties that helped affect the outcome. And when you combine 3 turnovers with all those penalties, then throw this in. Look, this isn't normal. On top of the fact you're penalized over 100 yards. We had big plays taken off the board multiple times. But even Milrow had an 80-yard touchdown taken off the board because of the penalties were outrageously sloppy. And the turnovers plus the penalties made this a close game period. Now throw in, here's the more concerning thing, because I think turnovers are fixable. Penalties are even fixable. The concerning part is that South Florida rushed for over 200 yards. Okay. Now, a lot of it was the quarterback. A lot of it was the quarterback on QB scrambles. I mean, the quarterback was the leading rusher by far. 2nd year in a row. He rushed for 92 against us last year, over 100 yards on Saturday night. That's more concerning, Luke, in the sense that, okay, well, you can stop the turnovers, you can stop the penalties, but if you're not good against the run, you're going to lose games, multiple games, if you're not good at stopping the run. So that needs to be a major focus for Alabama. I'll post a word of warning. 3-3 defenses like Alabama runs right now, 3-3 defenses, famously, one of the reasons that you might not want to play a 3-3 defense is they're not historically great against the run. Okay, so that's kind of concerning. But the penalties and the turnovers can be fixed. But man, Luke, so those were the 3 things. That's why the game played out like it did. 3 turnovers, double-digit penalties, big plays off the board because of the penalties, and on top of it, they rushed for over 200 yards. Now, if you'd have told me before the game that all those things had happened, I might have told you Alabama lost. But this is the good news. Alabama didn't lose. In fact, Alabama won 42-16 in spite of all of that, which is great news, miraculous, or a sign that Alabama's a really good team with issues.
Let's say this.
It's going to be fixed.
Let's say this. You know, the narrative is going to be Alabama's got so many dead gum problems. I can't believe how far they've fallen off. Whereas, let's say a team like Notre Dame or a team even like, I don't know, LSU or whoever, if they had done this, I think everybody would be like, okay, not a big deal. See, we're held to a different standard. We know this. Georgia is too. And so they understand, but most everybody else is held to, hey, you won 42-16, shut your yapper and enjoy it. You know, that's what a lot of people would say to most other teams. I don't think they'll do that to Alabama because we are so notoriously known for having this other standard. And if you did watch the game, that's the other thing. Most people didn't watch the whole game. Now, they may have seen it on the crawler and gone, oh, this is tighter than I thought, but I'm sure Alabama will blow them out. And the next time they see the score is 42-16, they're like, see, I told you Bama would blow them out. But if you didn't watch the game, you don't know about the issues. Let's hope that Wisconsin didn't watch the game and they just went, oh, God, Alabama's still good. Here they come. Let's hope they don't review tape. But let's hope. I doubt that's what they do, but let's hope. The thing you said about 2 snapping fumbles in 2 weeks is true. I want to say this. I don't think either one of those snaps is on the center. I think the first week, you described it well, that it was the center was making a line change, protection change, and Jalen Milroe called for the snap at an inopportune time. And so Parker Brailsford snapped it. It wasn't set. Everything wasn't set. Now, maybe Brailsford could have held it a second longer and Jalen Milroe would be like, I said, you know, and something like that, maybe. But in the first game, I can let that slide and say it's really not on anybody. It's a sort of just a miscommunication.
Just a sloppy miscommunication.
This snap, I don't think it's on Brailsford because he was under center. I mean, he was right there. He snapped it to him. But I'm more putting it on Nick Sheridan for saying get under center. For the love of God, why? I don't understand.
You have to assume they practice. You know, you have to assume they practice it quite a bit for it to be called. So I'm not going to assume that they never practice it. But you know, it is strange to go under center when you haven't the entire game. And it seemed, I'm sure, was that very possibly the very first time Milroe went under center in the whole game and it resulted in a turnover. That, like you said, I agree that could be partly attributed to Sheridan and partly attributed to probably Milroe. My understanding from the football experts out there is a under center quarterback exchange that doesn't go well is almost always the quarterback's fault and not the center, unless the center, I don't know, you snap the ball and it hits off your own leg or somewhere else and the quarterback can't. But I think those things are very, very rare. It's usually the quarterback's fault. The quarterback just simply drops the ball. That's probably what happened here. I haven't seen the replay multiple times to figure it out. But regardless, 3 turnovers, not just that one. One last point, though, about that final score, 42-16. I don't think a fair – if you're going to really analyze what happened, you have to analyze all the bad stuff, just like what I said, the 3 turnovers, the penalties, giving up the rushing yards. You also have to look at the fact Alabama won the game 42-16. That's not close. That is literally a blowout. Anywhere, if anyone in the NFL today and today's first NFL games loses 42-16, that fan base is going to quit on the season. They're going to say, well, we lost 42-16 to another NFL team. We're terrible. Okay, so 42-16 is a blowout. You have to consider that too. That late in the fourth quarter, Alabama sprung to life, had some explosive plays, took over the game, ended the game. That's a giant positive. So any analysis of the game has to include the negative and the positive. If all you want to talk about is the negative, then you're not really analyzing what happened. If all you want to talk about is the positive, you're not analyzing what happened in the game either.
Oh, that's so true. Thank you for saying that, because it was so funny last night. We were doing the live show and comments were coming in, and really, I think most of the comments were directed at other commenters, like they were going back and forth with themselves. Because frankly, you and I do a lot of things kind of poorly in terms of getting this podcast out. But the thing we do well is usually stay pretty level-headed. And so I think it was the other commenters that people were going head-to-head with, but there was folks, blaming it all on Formby, blaming it all on Milroe, blaming it all on this, blaming it all on that. And I can't wait to take on some of these Milroe haters. I've about had enough. They
go too far. It's not like the kid doesn't make errors. He did. I don't think Jalen Milroe played particularly well last night. I wouldn't rank that up there among his best performances by any means. But the critics go too far, and again, they wipe out all the positive and only focus on the negative only, and not the positive. But Jalen Milroe remains today one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the country, and 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He didn't lose the Heisman Trophy last night. I mean, even though he didn't lose the Heisman, he's in that race. He's not leading it, but he's not he didn't fall out of the Heisman race. His numbers were fine. Alabama won 42-16, threw for 2, ran for 2. That's pretty productive.
Going to tell you a little bit about 5-Hour Energy, and you're dang right I had a 5-Hour Energy last night. I had to. We can't be having these late kickoffs. I know 6 o'clock is late for a lot of y'all, but it is for me, and I'm going to have a 5-Hour Energy. I love them. Look, 5-Hour Energy fixes tired fast, and I was tired from the night before because I do the scoreboard show. So I drove back to Birmingham, so I didn't get into 1 in the morning, and then I had to get up, had to go coach a soccer team. And to victory, by the way. And then I had to go get some groceries for all the people we had coming over, and we had to go get all this gumbo and all this other stuff. I needed a 5-Hour Energy badly, and it helped a ton. Look, whether you're having a long list to do like me, or you've got some DIY projects you want to take care of yourself, 5-Hour Energy helps you. You can do it before a workout, which I'll probably do today because I got to go work out because I had all this gumbo. The 5-Hour Energy shots give you the feeling of alertness and energy you need to get in the zone with 0 sugar and a convenient portable size. Is the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5-Hour Energy website has flavors like watermelon and tropical burst and grape and all those cool things. They're all delicious. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12 or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. 5-Hour Energy is the brand for hard-working folks like y'all out there. Look, go to 5hourenergy.com. That is the number 5. HourEnergy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off. This offer is only good until September 30th, so hurry on one order and cannot be used with another promotion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use my promo code to get that 20% off. All right, let's talk about the elephant, the holding elephant in the room. That's the offensive line, at least one side of it.
There's an elephant in the room, and it's holding.
The elephant we're benching. Okay, look. Wilkin Formby had a bad game. We said it in the live show last night. I've seen a lot of vitriol towards him. Please stop. Please stop. First of all, we did win, okay? I get it. I know some of y'all have listened to me back in the Talking Tuscaloosa days. Y'all know that I blame Chris Capps for most of Alabama's losses from 1992 through 2007, and he wasn't even there but for like 3 or 4 of those years. But I still blame him for it. So y'all know I can blame somebody, unearned. But Wilkin Formby is a young dude. He's getting it together. I promise you he is too full of Bama. He wants to do well. He had a horrible, terrible, not so good night. It's okay. We ended up winning. Here's my hope, Jimmy. This is really what I woke up thinking. Like, okay, if I was Wilkin Formby, or for that matter, let's also say this. I think this is fair. Let's say I was Kendrick Law, who, if you ask me, the second half, we were like, okay, we went in there and took care of some business. At halftime, a few heads rolled. And now we're going to come out in the second half and show South Florida what's what. And Kendrick Law, bat out of hell, going down the field. And then for some reason, he turns sideways. He gets hung up with somebody, and the guy just, I mean, he didn't even like punch the ball out. He just sort of flicked it out. So Kendrick Law, to a lesser degree, Wilkin Formby to a much greater degree, both had reason to be like down on themselves last night, if you ask me. Here's my hope, that the Alabama teammates went to them and said, we got you. Right. We got you. You had I want them to be honest. I would like them to say, Wilkin, that was not good, and we got to do better, but I got you. Just hang in there. Kendrick, yeah, when you return a kick and you looked awesome until the very end, but the only thing that matters is the very end. That's all that mattered. Because instead of giving us great field position, when we have the ball and we can control this thing, you give them great field position and you give them hope. So I'm hoping that a teammate said, hey, buddy, we want you to return it every time. We believe in you. That's what I want. That's the bright light in this thing, that maybe the team can grow from mistakes. You don't grow from your successes. You grow from your failures, right? So I want to see them grow from this.
No, I couldn't agree more. Wilkin Formby's a redshirt freshman. There were going to be a game like that, stretches of play like that, are absolutely inevitable when you're a freshman and you're not some extraterrestrial freak like Ryan Williams. I mean, this is a typical performance of a redshirt freshman at some point during the season, played on the offensive line in the SEC. Wilkin Formby is going to be a really good football player. He's just developing as a player, and there's going to be bumps on the road. Last night was a big bump on the road. I think what faces Wilkin and from is watching the tape, getting further coaching, get coached up, get mentally back right. Like I said, I bet he panicked a little bit, which is typical that we see of skill position players. When you're having a bad game and things go wrong and they compound, then you panic and it makes it worse. That's probably something like that's going on. But I'm just real curious as to, first of all, Alabama's got to get healthy up front. I mean, you're not going to be banged up and have a makeshift offensive line and do well against Alabama's schedule. It's just going to be a disaster. You've got to get your best five, get everyone healthy, and then determine who your best five are. And I think with Proctor back this week, which my understanding is he's very likely back this week, Pritchett played at the end of the game, which showed that while he was hurt, he had an ankle, but Pritchett obviously could play through it if absolutely necessary. And he did. He not only played, he played really well when he came in at the end. I'm curious to see whether that's the lineup next week. Proctor back at left tackle, Elijah Pritchett starting at right tackle, working Formby in for a series or two. And then, of course, you got Booker then back in his best spot, which is left guard. I don't think moving Booker to left tackle, that wasn't something that magically fixed the offensive line problem. That was a makeshift thing. I mean, Tyler Booker is a fantastic guard and is probably a serviceable tackle, and maybe even a little better than serviceable if we gave him more than 1 week to learn it. But, ideally, Tyler Booker's back in his left guard spot. And, of course, we know Brailsford and Jaden Roberts are good players. I'm not sure Jaden played well. I'm really curious. Everybody knows I do the long, detailed rewatch on BOL. I'm as anxious as anyone to get to that this week, and because I want to watch that line in particular. But I don't know that any of them played super well. But that's what happens when it's a makeshift group.
I did have the thought when you said something like, well, Ryan Williams is a freak. I did have a thought like Ryan Williams goes to Kendrick Law and gives that speech that I was talking about, like, Kendrick, man, keep your head up, bro. Keep your head up. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I know you are. And people make mistakes. And Kendrick Law goes, well, you haven't made any mistakes. And he goes, I'm Ryan Williams.
Exactly what happened.
That's exactly how look, I'm a bad example.
Yeah, he's like,
do not mess up. My mess-ups are beautiful works of art.
All I can tell you is 2 + 4 = 6.
I'm like an impressionist painter. I'm just I just throw some stuff down. And people are like, oh, my God, that's beautiful.
Which would happen in real life, by the way.
That would. Oh, let me tell you, if Ryan Williams took up painting, you don't think that thing would be in my foyer right now?
It would be in
like, it would still be wet. People would be like, when did you get this? I'd be like, they're still leaving fingerprints. I know it's still wet. I just
be an NIL mega god.
and the NIL painter.
People would buy it. People would spend a lot of money and people buy it.
Look, there is no Ryan Williams can sell whatever he wants on eBay, and it'll be like
a
I'll be leaving all these 5-star reviews like this was excellent.
Yeah.
Just nothing but stars and thumbs up from me.
Yeah. How do you describe this work? Well, I spilt the bottle all over it, and I just said, "That's it. We'll just go with the spilled bottle."
I'd be like, "But you spilled it, right? Okay, give it to me, $1,000." All right, really quickly, the Milroe, the Milroe hate is becoming a headache, Jimmy. I mean, I don't understand. Last night on the show, we had some commenters. I see on BOL, the message board. I see on Twitter, like, why don't we even give Ty Simpson a chance? Because Milroe is not even not the problem. Frankly, he's the solution to the problems we have. So if you are not on board with Jalen Milroe at this point, I'm not saying go find another team. That's not for me to do, but go find another team. Jalen Milroe is the quarterback, and if he gets hurt, we're in a lot of trouble. So I don't know how to slow this down anymore for people. It doesn't mean we don't like Ty Simpson. It's like, I wish we had a presidential election. I don't remember last time there was a presidential election that we had.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't pay any attention to that.
I wish we had a presidential election where both candidates were equally good, and you were like, man, I got to find something new. But we are such a politically divided country now. It's like, if you're like, well, I kind of agree with Trump on this. Oh, you MAGA? Well, I kind of agree with Kamala Harris on this. Oh, you're such a left-leaning liberal. No, look, I think Ty Simpson does some things really well. And if he plays, I have confidence in him. But if you're asking me who I want to start, it is unquestionably, undeniably Jalen Milroe, and I have no qualms about it at all, and you shouldn't either. And Jimmy, we can't talk about it long as I got to go to break, but I'll throw in something.
Oh, well, he's the quarterback of this football team, and the quarterback's only going to be as good as the people around. He's the quarterback, period. And
that's the analysis you get here, people.
He's only going to be as good as the people around him. Does any Alabama fan out there think that Bryce Young is horrible? No, Bryce is a product of what the Panthers put around him. And last night, Milroe was the product of what was put around him. And that's just how quarterback works. It wasn't his best game, but it wasn't the best game for the people around him. And a quarterback behind a struggling offensive line, he's going to struggle. On top of it all, Milroe's numbers were fine. He didn't throw any interceptions. Alabama won the game by 24 points. He ran for 2 touchdowns, threw for 2 others. Milroe's fine. He's one of the nation's most dynamic quarterbacks.
All right, now I get to tell everybody about Ibata. And look, I have an Ibata app. This is I had an Ibata app before they started doing stuff with us. So, I'm going to show y'all. I mean, I'm going to show you the app. I mean, this is probably terrible radio, but I'm still going to show it to you. Look, it's right there. You see all that? I got it on my phone. Now it's taking a minute because my Wi-Fi stinks. But as you know by watching this podcast, but Ibata is awesome. Whatever you need to get, like last night, I got a bunch of groceries for the game watching, right, for a lot of friends, and I just get cash back on a lot of this stuff. Now, you're like, well, you only get $1 back here and $1.50 back and 50 cents there. That's true. But see, what happens is you need to go to the grocery store a bunch, or you need to go to Circle K a bunch. I use it at Circle K. You need to go to the drugstore a bunch. You can use it at Walgreens. You can use it wherever. And next thing you know, you look down, you're like, I got another $7,500 sitting in my Ibata account. That's how I do it. I don't even really pay attention to it till later. And then I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of cash, going jing-a-ling-a-ling in my pocket. There we go. So it was my phone, but I'm going to get it. Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibata. All you got to do is use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. When you register, just go do that. And you get $5 free to start off with. That's amazing. And you don't have to get it back for PayPal stuff. You can get it back for like an Amazon gift card or whatever. You can do all that. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back and use Locked On College today. That's the code, Locked On College. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code Locked On College. And I promise you, this stuff will add up, man. And you'll thank me later for this one. I ain't playing. All right, we're going to talk some more about Bama as the week goes on. We got a lot to do. Jimmy, we got a lot to work on before we get to Wisconsin. That being said, Wisconsin has not looked great. They win yesterday over South Dakota something, 27-13. They also have a linebacker who is out for the first half after a targeting call in the second half. Justin Jefferson's, to me, is – I'm so tired of these officials. I mean, these announcers, by the way. That's textbook targeting. First of all, if y'all watched the Auburn-Cal game, I thought there were 2 targeting and non-targeting calls that were just reverse of what I would have said was targeting on both times. But whatever. Targeting is so ambiguous and nebulous, and nobody really knows what it is. And I thought Justin Jefferson getting called for targeting is stupid. I think it's even dumber. We stop a game because somebody who's watching it goes, that might be targeting. If the officials can't see it right off the bat, I feel like that should not be targeting. Like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to clean the game up, and I got it. And I think it's worked for the most part, but now you're really messing up some stuff. You're gumming up the works here. Y'all got to stop that. Boy, look, hey, Alabama, yeah, they stunk for a while. No doubt about it. They ended up winning 42-16. How about Oregon? Struggle bus, second week in a row against another team from Idaho in Boise State this time, and they gave up a 200-yard rusher. By the way, that kid may win the Heisman. Notre Dame, stinker bodinker. They end up losing on the last-second field goal at home to Northern Illinois. We thought they were a lock for the playoffs. I don't know that they're a lock for a bowl game anymore, Jimmy.
I think if you lose, well, I don't know about how much they'll lose from here, but I'm just saying a loss to Northern Illinois is a weight on your. I mean, that's you know, assuming they win out, they're probably in. But boy, that's a blow to playoff chances. How bad a loss that was. Yeah, and I agree. Oregon is struggling, but they won. You know, and Alabama struggled, but they won. They won big. Boise, like you said, they struggled and barely won. Boy, just 3 points over Boise. Strange week. How about? I hate bringing this up on the day that Auburn loses, which makes a lot of Alabama fans happy when Auburn loses. Tennessee. Ooh.
Okay.
They're good.
Look, if you told me right this minute, in fact, I would say, Jimmy, you and I could probably do this exercise this week. Give me your updated Alabama season predictions. I think I would now. I had 11-1. I would probably change to 11-2. And again, don't say, Luke, you're overreacting.
You can't just add a game on. I assume you mean 10-2.
No, did I say 11-2? I meant 11-1.
You said 11-2. So
I meant 11-1.
SEC champs.
No, I meant 11-1. But I would change it to 10-2 now because. Now, this is not me overreacting. This is not me saying we can't beat Georgia. This is not me saying we can't beat Tennessee. But if you're asking me after 2 games, would you think Alabama would beat either one of those teams? And my answer is no. Now, because I can only choose yes or no. So I'm going to go no. But I'm going to have all the hope in the world that we will. I'm just saying that those 2 teams still look pretty doggone good. Now, Georgia wasn't pretty all the way through yesterday. And Tennessee wasn't really even pretty all the way through. But, boy, by the time that thing was over, NC State was a crumbled mess. Now, here's the other positive thing. For those of y'all worried about LSU, their defense, I don't know that their defense is a whole heck of a lot better. Nickel State did some good stuff yesterday.
Yeah, I would rearrange and feel more strongly about, like, okay, what's Alabama's toughest games? I would now say I actually believe this. A lot of y'all won't agree. That's fine. But I'm big on home versus road and the difficulty of playing on the road. And we'll talk about that a lot this week as Alabama goes on the road. I think the game at Tennessee is now equally as difficult to win as beating Georgia at home. To me, those games are now equally difficult. Georgia at home, at Tennessee. Tennessee absolutely looks like a playoff team. They have the dynamic quarterback. I mean, I know he's young. He's probably going to have his young QB moments are coming when he plays against a defense that's good. But Nico is clearly a player. There's just no doubt about that. And they got good players around him. I mean, I really like the receiving core. I think is underrated, by the way. I mean, that's a pretty good group.
Their running back leads the league. Their running back leads the league in rushing.
Yeah. For the second year in a row. By the way, Tennessee led the league in rushing last year. So Heupel's offense has really got it going on. But it's all about the dudes, and he's got a dude at quarterback for sure.
Okay, as we get out of here, Jimmy, I bet you wouldn't have thought this. Jam Miller's number 4 in the SEC in rushing yards with 194.
That's great. So averaging right at 100 yards a week. That's fantastic.
With this awesome, boy, Jimmy, you could have given me a lot of guesses before I got to 194. I mean, even knowing the stats.
Yeah, you told me last night because I didn't get to see this. I rushed back from the stadium, got busy, and then I didn't see the stats before we did the show last night. I just kind of had a general idea of what they were. I was surprised. I thought Jam was right at 100 yards. When you said 140, I was like, wow. Yeah, he's played really well. What I really like about the run game is now you got Jam Miller averaging at 100 yards a game. Justice Haynes has a 100-yard game. Now, he kind of struggled last night. I don't know how much of it was him or the offensive line, but if you take away his 29-yard touchdown run at the end, he had about 15 yards on 12 carries. I mean, that's deplorable stuff. And, of course, a lot of that's going to be on the offensive line. And, again, I think the main takeaway from last night in terms of a unit underperforming, I mean, yeah, it's the offensive line. And, yeah, they were banged up and they had to play musical chairs up there.
All right. That's, by the way, Justice Haynes has 148 on the year. So,
solid.
Just very solid. Look, if you had told me going into the year, would you take 148 and 194 out of Jam and Justice? You're dang right. That falls right along with our song of Justice and Jam, Jam and Justice. You know, our little song that was, it doesn't matter. All right.
I didn't know we had a song, and I hope we don't. I hope we don't have a song.
I thought did we not get that song approved? We didn't get that song approved. I'm sorry.
Good.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We will be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.